December 5th, what have you got for us? A big, huge Gemini full moon energy is what it's got. And I will make another video on the details of that. But what we are looking at before we get to that moon at 10:14 a.m. is a whole lot of confusing fuckery, to be honest. 1:03 a.m., the quintile to Saturn, then we got 2 semi-squares and another fucking quintile, right? So these are all considered minor aspects, but they will be annoying, especially because we are moving into that moon, which is happening at 13 degrees, which is an Aries degree. So we're going to really start feeling the pressure of that Aries degree with the sun at 13 degrees, right? Because 13 degrees Aries degree, Sagittarius, also a fire sign. So there's a big kind of energy here. Now, the quintile to Saturn at 103, this is going to be using your inner values when it comes to how you allow communication in your relationships and how open you are to understanding somebody else's inner values when it comes to those relationships, right? It's really asking you, do the values match? Now, this relationship energy, it could be showing up at work, family, wherever your personal relationships are. And it's sort of saying, like, is it worth giving up some of your values? Is it worth that? Like, can we work together? Or is it just, you're letting the whole thing go, right? The semi-square to Chiron is kind of coming in, the semi-square to Jupiter coming in, and it's sort of saying there's something within your family space that you believed, there's something that you learned about your identity that was incorrect and caused this wound, right? Because Chiron is now at 22 degrees of its retrograde in Aries. So we're at this Capricorn degree. So there is a lot more of a focus around having to lock in, having to be responsible, having to understand, and this is not blame, but having to understand responsibly the effect of these wounds around our identity as children, how they show up in our relationships, how they affect our ability to understand somebody else in relationships, and how they affect the other person in the relationship from being able to understand us. And then the semi-square to Jupiter, it's sort of saying you need to integrate and get some wisdom by understanding how your family space affected you, right? And bigger than what you thought, right? How was your mom and your dad raised? Because you are also raised by some of that energy. And then we get to this quintile with Neptune at 29 degrees of its retrograde. And 11 degrees is the Aquarius degree. So it's really saying, hey, like your ideas that are very authentic to you that you don't quite show people, like that part of your creative self, is it worth holding on to this ancestral program, this generational and family program? Is it worth it to give up that part of your genius self, your authentic self, your weirdo self? Is it fucking worth it? Okay. And then the 10:14 a.m., that moon moves into the full moon. It makes an opposition, big tug of war at 13 degrees, the Aries degree. And it's really saying, like, I am both sides of me, the shadow side and the light side, right? Gemini, two twins. So this is where the sun is going to shine, right? The truth-seeking Sagittarius sun is coming in, and it is showing you the truth of your shadow self. Okay. Now, the moon will be squaring the north node as well, so causing friction in where you are heading, what your discomfort zone is, especially when it comes to your spiritual journey. And it's sort of saying, like, you need to hold hands with the shadow twin, the shadow side of you, in order to feel more comfortable, in order to be ready to walk into this unknown space. Okay. So with the moon and the sun both squaring the nodes, what we are kind of looking at is where we've come from, where we're going to, and how we need to be both twins, both versions of us, right? In order to get to where we want to go, and in order to not be so debilitatingly fearful of something that we might not have all of the information in. Okay. So then we get to 235, and this is a really interesting quincunx, right? So this is a quincunx is an aspect that asks for cooperation in a lot of ways. It asks for some kind of resolution to be made, some kind of compromise to be made, but you might not be able to quite understand what or where, right? So the compromise needs to be made in your inner mentality, right? In the way that your mind works, the Mercury component. And this is about taking responsibility and really locking in 22 degrees, the Capricorn degree, to these things that we have started to find out during the Mercury retrograde, Scorpio things, right? So taboo things, things that need to be transformed, secretive things, you know, big, long contracted things, okay? These like secretive energies that we have to take responsibility for because they write our inner programming and they are written from things that we've experienced. So Chiron at 22 degrees of Aries in its retrograde is having us revise these childhood wounds and take responsibility for it. So we need to make a compromise here. We need to kind of understand the childhood wound so the inner mentality can work together with it and we can make some changes, because the 423 sesquiquadrate to Pluto, that one is saying that in order for you to feel safe and nurtured within your ideas, in order for you to feel good about the way that you see the world and communicate and the way that you create, okay, that you need to let go of something that you've been compulsively or obsessively repeating over and over again in order to hide these parts of you that you were told when you were a child were no fucking good for anyone to see, okay? And then we end here with the sun making its direct square with the node. And that is going to light some fucking shit up about where you're uncomfortable. And this one is particularly interesting because Sagittarius energy can get really stuck on thinking it has all of the facts and truth, because at some point it seemed like those were the facts and truth. Where Sagittarius energy struggles is with the curiosity of Gemini, because that is on the opposite end of that axis. And it's where Sagittarius needs to remember to always stay open to the fact that there could be new information that changes that fact. And it also needs to realize that there are not facts about who we are as people. There is only our personal truth, which is continuously evolving as we release wounds, as we release filters, and as we start connecting more with our inner and higher self. So the North Node representing where we are heading to and the discomfort zone, right? A place that like the lessons that we are here to learn. And when it's in Pisces, you know, it is closing out a big cycle, a big 18.5-year cycle, but it is also our spiritual journey and the integration of ancestral energies. And this is where the Sagittarius part of us struggles because it thinks it fucking knows, right? And if you've got mutable placements around 13 degrees, you're going to feel these ones the most, okay? I will mention those in the other video. So yeah, happy fucking Gemini full moon. Good luck meeting your shadow twin, and honestly, stay open to what that part of you is here to tell you, because just with Lilith so close by, Lilith is in Scorpio, Mercury is also in Scorpio. So because Gemini is ruled by Mercury, there is this component of really being able to see the dark side of your inner mentalities and how they hold you back. So be open to seeing what it is that they need to see, that you need to see. Okay. Big Gemini energy. So also a little bit of a mental health warning on that one. Okay. Stay with